Hi there, my name is Nico Nam, and let's create a series of 3D lettering projects together. If you feel intimidated with 3D lettering, don't worry because I'll guide you through the process step by step. Today's project is going to be a folded lettering effect like this, and the light reflections are going to give it the depth that we want to have. We'll be using the 3D letter brushes to easily create the 3D layout guides for this project. But don't worry if you don't have the brushes because I've prepared some downloadable guides for you to use to follow along the process. The links are in the description below. So let's dive right in. Let's create a new canvas. The first step is to create our 3D guides. Let us open up our brush set and let's look for the 3D fold category, which is right here. So you have here 5 different 3D fold brushes. So you have the flying bifold. So it's just like folding your letters once. A dynamic bifold, folding your letters once, but the sizes are different, giving it an illusion of depth. Some are in front, some are behind. You have bent bifold sheets as well. So if you wanted to align it, this is what you're going to use. And then you have flying trifold sheets. So if you want your letters to have 3-fold effect, use this. And quad fold sheets. So if you like to give it like a 4-fold effect, use this. What's great about these brushes is that beside its name, you'll see an arrow. It tells you which direction you're supposed to use these brushes. So for example, flying bifold sheets. So horizontal like this, and it's going to help you create the composition right away. So if you're not happy with that, you could just undo that and brush another set until you get what you want. You could also just tap in one at a time. And if you don't like what came out, you could just undo and just tap again until you get what you want. Like that. Erase this. So for the dynamic, you'll see that you have thin, and with pressure, it becomes bigger and smaller there. With the bent bifold sheets, you have the arrow to the upper right. So it tells you that, wait, let's bring the size smaller. You have to draw it at this diagonal line. And as you can see, that is how you're supposed to use this brush, following the arrow. So for the flying trifold and flying quadfold, it's basically the same as the first 2 sheet brushes. It's just that you have more folds to your letters. So you can use this as is like this, or you can also mix things up. Like some of the letters have 3 folds, some letters have 2 folds. It's really up to you how you want to style or design your letters. These brushes are just here to make it easier for you to create the guides, and it's going to help you visualize the final outcome. So let's begin. Let's create the word love. The first and third letters are going to have a 3-fold effect, and the second and fourth letters, we're going to give it a bifold effect. So let's just tap 2 letters like this. Let's maybe something, yeah, this one will do. And on a new layer, let's go back to bifold sheets. We'll just tap. Yeah, I think this looks good. And on a new layer, let's maybe use a different one. Maybe the bent sheets. Let's scale this down a bit. Oops. Like that. And yeah, let's just arrange these so that we can get a sense or get a quick look on how our letters or final letters are going to look like. So like this, and make sure you select the right layer. Oops. Like this. Rotate this a little bit more. Perfect. I always like to center everything, so there. Perfect. Now that we have the guides for our letters, the next step is to draw our letters, or we can type in our letters. Add text, L-O-V-E. Let's select that and maybe choose a different font. Avenir, next condensed, and maybe heavy or bold. Let's just use bold. Okay. Let's size this to almost the same height as our folded guides. Now let us rasterize this, move this up, and yeah, let's just merge the guides so that it's only one layer. Okay. Now that we have our letter, so normally when I work on folded letter effect, I separate my letters into 2 layers because some of these might overlap and it's going to be hard for us to move them around if everything is just in one layer. So using the selection tool, I'm going to select L and V right here. 3-finger swipe, cut and paste. So now L and V are on a new layer. So let me just duplicate these because I want to preserve the original layers just in case I made a mistake. Okay, like that. So for this one, if you want to use the 3-fold, we have to cut our letters into 3 vertically. So select rectangle and maybe let's select about 1/3 on top and another third below, maybe around here. And then we'll make sure the correct layer is selected, cut and paste so that it's going to be on a new layer. And then just select the top part, move it up, select the bottom part and move it down there. Let's merge everything again. And let's move this to the side like that. So the first section, we're going to fit it in the first section or first part. The second section, the second part. The third section, the third part. So we'll always start with the middle one. So we're going to select this, move, and we're going to move it here. So what you should do to avoid a lot of deformation, make sure you rotate it first to fit one side. So what you want is you want one side to align to the edge like this, and then click distort, and then align it like that. Make sure you align the other edge with the guide right here, so it's at this angle. Then use the freedom tool to bring this smaller so that you fit it in the area perfectly, just like that. Next is we're going to select this piece, move it here, okay, rotate it like that, and make sure it's connected to the side or to the first part that you inserted. So this is shorter, so make sure you switch to uniform and scale it up right there. So for the first and third section, you don't have to fit it exactly to that height because sometimes it might look deformed, but you only have to do it or to fit the height on the second part like that. So let's select the last one, rotate it. Make sure this is aligned, the side is aligned to this one, perfect. And then let's scale this up so that it's going to connect on that side. Perfect. There we have it. Our first folded letter. Next, let's add the middle part of the V to the second section of our guide. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate. Oops. Rotate this. So you want the base to follow this dotted guide right there, like that. And then use distort and make sure this side right here has the same angle as that, like that, and make sure it touches the other dotted side right there. Perfect. So you don't need to start at the corner because for this one, you don't really have like a straight line or like a vertical line. So it's not really going to touch that side, unlike with the letter L. So as long as you align it to this and this and this and this, you're fine. Even if you go beyond the guide, it's okay. Oh, you touched that part, so we won't be able to move it. So let's do this again. So I undo that, and yeah, again, I rotate, make sure to align this to that angle right there. Perfect. And distort, we're going to drag the middle part, and this line right here needs to have the same angle, like that. See, it's the same angle, but we need the top part to touch the dotted part as well. So this is perfect. And but yeah, we can move this a little bit to the right, I mean to the left, so that it's not too close to that, and we could still move that later on. Perfect. Now let's select this V right here. So again, don't use the slanted parts of the V as reference. Use the bounding box as reference. So rotate like this. Make sure you get the right angle. This is the right angle. See, it fits perfectly there. Next is we're going to touch that side. And yeah, if you want to bring this up, you can bring this up a bit like this. Just make sure that they fit perfectly together so that it's going to be continuous line later on. So let's select the bottom part of the V. Move it here. We're going to rotate it to like this. Make sure it's aligned to the base and the side like this. Now, let's just move this. Make sure it fits this perfectly. Great. That's great. This is looking good. Now, let's go to the O and E. If like the letters are too distracting, you could hide those first. Now, for the O and E, since it only has one fold, so let's select just one half and move it up right here. There. Okay, now let's fit this into our guide. So let's select the bottom layer, rotate it like this. Make sure you touch the dotted line and it is aligned like that. Perfect. Let's select the top part, move it, rotate it until you have it fit perfectly like that. Then choose distort because we need to align the edge to the guide right here. So it doesn't have to end at the top of this guide. You could just move it up a little bit as long as the angle is correct, like that. Easy, right? For the letter E, this one's easier because you have a straight edge. So all you have to do is just align it like that. And maybe skew it like this. Just make sure it touches the dotted guide right there. This one is like this. Again, rotate first. Like that. And you need to move this or increase the width so that it's going to end there. So that the ends are going to be touching. And then let's just distort that until you touch the edge like that. Perfect. So we now have our letters. If we remove the guide, you can now start to see the bending and folded effect. So the next step is to draw the outlines. So let's hide the O and E first and work on L and V. So I'm going to bring the opacity down a bit and bring the guides back and bring the opacity down as well. Perfect. And on a new layer, I'm going to use any drawing brush. So yeah, fine monoliner 1. And then we're just going to trace the outline of our letters. And if you want the folds to be very sharp like this, you draw them exactly as is. But if you want to add like a curve or a soft bend effect, so you don't draw till the corners, you leave some space so you can curve it out later on. I'll show you. Okay, make sure you're on a new layer and your palm didn't hit undo. So just draw the line like this. Since the letter is a perfect shape, so I just turn it into a smart shape here in Procreate. So it's going to be easier for me to draw this accurately like that. Again, leave some space. Perfect. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it works. Edit polyline. Leave some space. Just bring them to the corners like this. Perfect. And then let's manually curve them together like that. Let's erase this. Oops. Let's choose a nice eraser. Bring the size down a bit. It's a bit too long, so that's perfect. Now for this one, I'm gonna curve it like that. There you have it. Like a curvy bent letter L. Now let's go to our third letter, which is the letter V. Same thing here. So just hold your pencil if you want to edit it as a polyline. So it's going to be easier for you to get the right dimensions or right lines. This one is just gonna be a small one like that. Perfect. There. Now that we're done with the edges, let's start to curve this. Curve this. There. Perfect. If we remove the L and V guide, you can see the first two folded letters. Nice, right? Now let's do the words O and E. Create a new layer. Bring the opacity down a bit. Let's bring back the guide, the layout guides, the 3D layout guide, so that it's going to be easy for us to visualize where to start and stop this letter. So there's a curve. Let's draw the curve, leaving some space again. Okay, drawing the arc right here. Perfect. Now let's curve these. Curve these. Curve these like that. Can adjust however you want. Curve these. Perfect. We're done with the letter O. Now let's do the letter E. So this is going to be slightly similar to what we did for the L. Just draw the lines like that and then edit the line so it's going to be easier to do this perfectly. If you want your letters to have some rough edges, you can use a brush with some texture on it. Done. Easy, right? So now let's just curve this to finish our guides. Just 2 parts right here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now let's hide all the guides to see our final letters. There we have it. The next step is to color this and give it some highlights. So right now, I'm just gonna duplicate this to preserve those layers. I'm gonna fill this in with color. All of these 4 letters right here, okay? And let me just give it a different color right here. So purple for the E, a golden orange for the letter O, for the letter L, I'll give it blue, and for the V, some darker green turquoise, darker turquoise color. Perfect. Now let's add some highlights. To do that, let's bring our guides back. But now let's just bring this to the front because we need it on top so we'll be able to see those lines. Okay, so let's start with the layers for the letter L and V. I'm going to create new layers on top and make sure you have the right brush. A simple drawing brush will do. And then, so if we imagine the light, so it's going to hit this and this part, right? So it's not going to hit the middle part. Like for this one, if the light is up, it's going to hit the middle part. So we are going to draw a line following the guide like that, and closing it and filling it with color. So right here, the bottom part, and fill it with color. Okay. And for this one, oh, let's choose a different color. Right now, you can use any color you want. I'm using black now. So just draw a line right here. Make sure your lines or your shape will cover the letter like that. Perfect. Now, I'm going to go to hue, bring it all the way to 0, bring the brightness all the way to 0 to make it completely white. Clipping mask, so that it's only going to cover the letters itself, not the background. Next is we're going to add some Gaussian blur. Since we're using a curved edge, earlier we curved the corners, right? So we're going to use Gaussian blur to maybe about, just a little bit, maybe about 4 there. And then bring the opacity down a bit to maybe 30. Let's hide the background and the guide so you can see. So you can see that there's like some highlights to the letters. If we remove it, you'll see that it's completely flat, the L and V. But if we turn it on, boom. So it's like the lights are there. That's what we want to do for the letters O and E as well. So create a new layer on top, bring the guide back on. For the O, it's the bottom part, right? That's going to be highlighted. So let's just use the black pen and then just draw that. And for the E, it's the top part, right? So we're going to draw the line following the folded guide right there. And let's cover the entire top part. Black, perfect. Now, hue saturation, brightness to max to make it completely white. Add clipping mask and then bring the opacity down to maybe 32, same as the other one. So we are now done. We can now hide the guide layer and add a background color. So I'm using this dark blue color. All right, perfect. Now let us move our letters, because earlier, even if we overlap our folded guides, the O and L didn't overlap similar to the guides earlier. So let's manually move that. So make sure you select both the highlights and letter. Freehand there. Let's just move it around, maybe here, like that. Oh, sorry. For the O and E, we forgot to blur the edges, so it's still so strong. So Gaussian blur, and then bring it to about 5. Perfect. So before it was like this, super harsh change in color. Now it's blended to fit the curved design. That's perfect. Now let's move the V a bit. So let's select the letter V and move it maybe up and a little bit closer to the letter O to overlap them a little bit more. Perfect. Now for the E, make sure you select both layers so that the highlights will still be in the right position. Let's move it maybe here. Let's rotate this a bit to fill in this space a little bit more. Yeah, this looks perfect. Okay, but I kind of want to put the E above the V. So what we can do is we can select our letter E, cut and paste, remove the clipping mask first, and let's bring the highlight to a different layer as well, like that. Let's move this, the highlight of the letter O, above the letter O, turn on clipping mask, turn this on clipping mask, and since we cut and paste this, we need to adjust the opacity again. 32, right? But I want it to be above the letter V, so let's bring these two layers above. Whoops. You turn on clipping mask, don't worry, let's turn it off and turn it on for the highlights, just highlights again. So yeah, there we have it. We have the letters and it's now in a more nicer arrangement. What we can do next is to add more shadows. Since L is overlapping with the letter O, we want to duplicate the letter L. Let's select it, duplicate, bring it above the letter O right here. Change it to black, so hue, brightness all the way to none. Let's just move it a little bit, maybe like this, maybe here. Oh, hue to, yeah, 0. And then Gaussian blur, so maybe about 5 will do. And let's bring the opacity down a bit to maybe 32, like everything else. Now for the V, it overlaps over the letter O as well. So we're going to select the V, duplicate that, bring it down above the O layer. Let's move it to maybe somewhere here like this. Change it to black, brightness to 0, Gaussian blur. Did we use 5% earlier? Okay, let's just use 5% again and bring the opacity down to 32. Now that it has a shadow over the letter O, it now looks more like it's floating above that letter. So let's do that here as well. So the E is over V, so we're going to duplicate the letter E, clipping mask that, and just maybe bring it down a little bit. Change to black, And Gaussian blur to about 5% as well. And bring the opacity down to 32. There. Now that we've added the shadows, now it looks more like they're really above each other, or like floating on top of each other. Now for me, I love texture, so I want to add some grains to the folded letters. So I'll just add a new layer, turn on clipping mask, switch to black, and use some grain brushes from my bevel pack, but then just, oh wait, it's for the letter E. Yeah, for the letter E, so let me just add some grains right there and change to overlay. I really like this blending mode, overlay with about 35% opacity there. Just a little bit of texture. I'm going to do that for everything. So create a new layer on top of L and V, turn clipping mask on, just add some grains like that. Switch the blending mode to overlay and bring it down to 30 something. Lastly, for the letter O, create a layer on top, clipping mask turned on, and cover it with grains, and then just go to overlay and bring the opacity down a bit, like that. Perfect. There. Let's now add texture to the entire thing. So a new layer. So let me just go back to ink lettering and then maybe pick another texture, maybe light cardstock texture, and just cover the entire thing. Oh, for this, I'm just going to choose the light blue color. Yeah, light blue color is going to look nice, and just pick a nice blending mode. Maybe overlay again. Yeah, well, maybe just multiply will do. There. Lastly, let's finish this off with some simple decorations. So I created on a new layer, chose white, and then I'm just going to add some heart stamps around this. So I think it is under chalk letter, retro, no, ink lettering. I forgot my packs. Okay. Under ink lettering, you have heart liners. So let me just add some hearts all around here, here, here. And bring this down a bit because I like to mix in different sizes to 8% here, here, and smaller still to about 5%. Here, here. Here. Yeah, I think that's a nice distribution. So yeah, I always like to center everything. So let's center the decorations like that. And then let us group everything. I mean, just all of the letters together like that. Duplicate and flatten the duplicate so that it's going to be easier for us to center everything. I mean, this is just my personal preference. I like to center things like that. And then maybe adjust this up a little bit there. Okay. If you're happy with this, you can end with this, but I personally just want to adjust the decorations a little bit more. So I just want to move this to the side a bit. This one as well, so that they're not too close to the letters. And this one, bring this up a bit. Bring this down a little bit more. And these two a bit closer right here. Perfect. Just want to center everything again. And we're done. I think we're done. Yeah, we are done. So yeah, if there's something you want to adjust a bit more, feel free to adjust it. Looking at it now, I may want to make the highlights brighter. So since everything's already merged, I'll just go to curves. Oh, but before that, make sure you select the right layer, which is love. Let me duplicate that so that I don't lose the original colors. And adjust the curves a bit. Create like an S curve. There. Before and after. I think that looks better. So yeah, there you have it. Floating folded letter effect. It's so easy to create this arrangement with the guides, right? Try recreating this 3D lettering piece and share it with me at niconang.co. You can download the guides for this 3D project and the other guides for this 3D lettering series. The links will be in the description below. But if you already have the 3D letter builder pack, I challenge you to use the other brushes included in this pack, mix them up, and try to create your own arrangement and own 3D letter composition for this folded letter effect. If you want to get this 3D letter builder pack, it's available on my website. Link is going to be in the description below. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them in the comment section or email me if you're too shy to comment below. And make sure to check out the other projects of this 3D lettering tutorial series. I'll see you in the next one.